Okay, doesn't look like there's anyone else coming, so we'll go ahead and get started. As long as everybody's good. Okay, so this is a definition of done in Drupal. This will not be an incredibly technical talk at all. It's going to be a lot of really basic stuff, and I hope that's okay with everyone. It's more kind of a business management, making sure that developers are getting things done type of deal in Drupal. So my name is Michael Smith. I am a software developer at VML. VML is a digital marketing agency in Kansas City, and we work on a lot of big sites for big corporate people who don't know anything about technology. So our primary client, our primary customer, is a CMO or a market manager or somebody that wants to have a website, fill out the fields, and have it look pretty on the screen. They don't know anything about blocks. They don't know anything about fields. They don't know what a data type is and regions, all of that. They don't know and they don't care. Yes? What's a CMO? Chief Marketing Officer. Yeah, marketing people. They are like, head person that we have to tell it about. They don't actually mess with the system themselves. Right, so we build these large sites that nobody wants to really deal with, and we as developers, when we are creating content and we're writing our sites, we typically write it from a developer mindset, and we build things that make sense to us, and we have these words like Angie was talking about this morning that make sense to us, but the client has no idea what it is. So that's what our challenge is here that we're going to try to solve with the definition of done in Drupal. And the first challenge is that content management systems are incredibly complex. We all write them every day, so we know they're difficult. CMO doesn't want to deal with it, the content manager doesn't want to deal with it. By the way, if I talk too fast, that's a problem that I have. Please let me know. I'm trying not to. The second challenge we have here is that business requirements are seldom ever incredibly specific. We have business system analysts that go out and talk to the client, and the client says, I want a blog. So I want to be able to put in my title and a paragraph and have it show up on the page. The BSA, the business system analyst, and the client, they don't know about URL aliases. They don't know that there's a preview button in Drupal. They don't know that there's 10 different display modes you can use. And normally it's not 10, it's 3. But they don't know about those things. And so they're not captured in business requirements, or they're not captured in acceptance criteria for our stories. We normally use an agile process of sorts, and so we have acceptance criteria. So you have a definition of done in agile. Ignore that, we're not there yet. We have a definition of done in agile, which says a story is not done until all these requirements, regardless of the acceptance criteria, are done. These things are, I'm probably going to talk about in a minute, these things are not specific to one story, but they're definitions of done across the entire framework. So something's not done until it's been tested, and something's not done until it can be done in production. That's the definition of done in Agile. It's not quite what we're talking about in Drupal. So a site can technically be done according to all these requirements that we wrote, but it's still going to look unpolished and unfinished when you go to show this to somebody. I didn't realize this until you start moving up in the world and you have to go show it to people. And this is what a client sees. This is a blog post. Most of us can probably figure this out. It's a title, a body, a byline. I could probably put a name in there. It's a text field. Date. I don't know what that really means. If I'm a developer, I probably know that's the date it's going to show whenever somebody looks at it. If I'm a client, I'm like, is that when it's going to be posted? Is that the date it's shown? I don't know. Same with image. Where does that go? Source, tags, similar content. No idea what that is. So this is done. I mean, this is an accepted, it meets the acceptance criteria, but it's not done. Clients have no idea how to deal with that. They see a big scary monster right here. And I should have had a slide with the big scary monster. Remember that for next time. So we saw, do what?
It's in our minds, it's okay.
Okay, that's good. I could try to pantomime a scary monster. So we solved this problem by having these definitions of done in Drupal. So a definition of done is a list of criteria that every one of these stories is going to meet in order for it to be done. We're not actually going to define these on stories, though. We're going to find them on big parts of Drupal. A definition of done is not unique to one story, so it's something that's going to be spread across the entire project. Touched on that a little earlier. I'm going out of order. And it's used across a project or a set of stories. So in Drupal, I've kind of put together this list, and this, again, just kind of grew from me presenting to people and saying, wow, these are what I consider to be the definitions of done when I have my team work on things. And we're going to have a definition of done for entities, a definition of done for views, and a definition of done for the entire site. And you can come up with way more definitions of done than what I'm going to show you for these things. This is just the list that I give to my guys. And when I talk about entities, I'm talking about nodes, so content types. I started it by calling it content types, and then decided it applies to taxonomies, users, entities in general. So first off, we have entities here, and this is the list of the definition of dones that I've come up with for entities. And we're going to go through each one of these individually here. The basic idea of done is every option that you can fill out in Drupal has been filled out, and a user can use it. That's the big idea. So every content type in Drupal, again, I started by calling these content types, should have this description. This is, I've clicked on add a node here. So I've clicked on add content. These are my two pieces of content, the blog post and the blog. To us, we know the difference between a blog post and a blog. Clients do not, ever. So this is not helpful. So they think, oh, I'm going to write a blog post, and they're probably going to click that blog one. And that's, not correct. So nodes have this description field, and it's really easy. All I have to do is fill it out. I frequently don't fill it out. And so that's why we have this acceptance or this definition of done for nodes. It's really important. So when I fill it out, now I know that a blog is a collection of blog posts because I can read that. And I know that a blog post is the individual blog. So sounds really easy to us. That's going to make a world of difference to clients or people that aren't technically minded and don't know all of our terms. Next one I have here is disable the preview before submitting or theme the preview. I always go with the top option. We never theme the preview. I don't know if that's good or bad, but we don't theme the preview. But there's always this preview before submitting. And there's a button there, and I don't have a slide of it. There's a button there whenever you go create a new piece of content that says preview. And every time that I go into a client meeting, and we haven't themed that, or we haven't disabled it, they click preview, and they get really scared because it looks really bad. That's what it looks like on one of my sites right now whenever you hit preview. So it's not correct. So we need to either disable it or theme it. That's not helpful. I would disable it. They have a stage environment, our clients generally, so they want to look at their content, and they just click publish. The next one here is content types should not promote to the front page by default. I don't know why, but whenever you create a new content type in Drupal, that option is checked. Turn it off. If you don't turn it off, the client's going to see that whenever they go to create a new piece of content, and they're going to say, why isn't it showing up on the front page? And you're going to say, well, because that's just the default Drupal option and we didn't fix it. Doesn't work so well. So it's really easy. We just turn that off. I don't know if there's a module that'll just get rid of that. You could CSS it away. You could hook form alter it away and just get rid of it completely, which is not a bad idea. There's probably a module out there. It's a module for everything. You know one?
Yeah, that's that and some other archive type thing. Because I agree, this is a problem. People want to publish and they want to archive. Where's the archive button? There's a module for that. I think it addresses the promoted front page because how many websites use a view that promotes content to the front page?
Right, unless you're working on a blog site, it's probably not going to happen that often. We've used it for a few things, but biggest rule is just make sure it's not turned on by default because when they see it's there, they're going to get confused. The next part here is that we should make sure that content can always be placed in the correct menus. When you create content, you have the option of adding it to the menu right there. Lots of times we don't do that. We go to structure, menus, and we add menus ourselves. But the client's going to see this, and they're going to pop open this menu dialog here, and there's a lot of things in that menu. And there's tools and user account menu and admin, and the client can't even see admin. They don't know that's there. So they're going to stick that in the admin menu and then come and ask you, where's my admin menu? I added this. I want an admin menu now. And you're going to say, well, that's not part of the scope. And you have an argument. So the easiest thing to do is make sure that it's only added to the main navigation or the footer or wherever you want to add it. And this is in the content type edit screen. I think in Drupal 7, it automatically selected all of your menus. In Drupal 8, it always goes to just main menu by default. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. This is Drupal 8, by the way. Most of what I'm talking about today is the same between Drupal 7 and Drupal 8. The next one here, editable fields should be in a logical order. We add fields as we need them. Oh, I need a body field. Body's already there. I need a related content field. I'll add my related content field. Now I need a tags field. I'll add my tags field. Now I need a byline field. I'll add my byline field. Then when you go to create this blog post, you say title, body, tags, and then byline. Shouldn't the byline go above the body? From a client perspective, if I'm filling something out, I should see it in the order that I want it to be viewed. So it's really easy. We have draggable fields here. We can just move them around, and they should be placed in a logical order. I don't have a screenshot for that. Hope you can figure out what a logical order is. Tying into the logical order is field groups. I love field groups. I use them way too much. Does anybody else use field groups? Awesome. You get that big, long, scary blog page, and the client's like, oh, wow, that is so many fields. If you break it up into tabs, it's so much easier for clients to use. You get the vertical tabs, which you guys have all seen there, vertical tabs. Those are great. I prefer the horizontal tabs across the top. You also get field sets, which are great as well. So here you can see the horizontal tabs across the top. If there's any type of development-specific field, sometimes we put a CSS class field on something. We want to tie a CSS class to this node specifically for some reason. We'll stick that in an admin-only tab over there. The client can see it, but they don't ever click on it. That's nice. Another thing that you can do, I don't think I have an image of it here, is field sets, where it actually groups sections together. It's really useful if you have something like an image, and maybe you have another field that's image source, and another field that is image date. If you put all of those inside of a field group, the client knows all this belongs together, and it's way easier for them. Next one here is content types that do not stand alone should not be accessible to anonymous users. I was very guilty of this for a long time. We create a lot of content types that are associated with views. So a store, for instance, if I have a list of stores, and I'll show some of those in a bit, I don't want anyone to ever actually see a store page. I just want to show them a view of the stores that are near them. So I want them to see a title, and an address, and a phone number. But they can still get to that store page if they search, or somehow it gets added somewhere. It happens. So if they get to that store page, or a safety pod page, it's an icon, this is what they're going to see. And that's terrible. Users should never see something that looks like that, and your client should never see something that looks like that, because then they're going to think we didn't finish. So there's a great module called Rabbit Hole. And if anybody here wrote Rabbit Hole, then I love you. It's a great module. It allows us to, per content type and per individual piece of content, if you want to turn it on, say anytime somebody accesses this content type, take them to the front page, or take them to a page not found, or take them to a custom page that you've designed. It's a great module. It's beautiful. Does anybody ever use Rabbit Hole?
Will tomorrow.
Nice. I love Rabbit Hole. It's one of my favorite ones. But yeah, this is that's an icon, I think, actually. So it's taxonomy. So you may not do this with nodes very often, but you do it with taxonomy all the time. Nobody should ever see a taxonomy page, right? Maybe not always, but frequently. Content types should all have default aliases. /node/7727 is not good for clients. This is one that we probably don't really need the definition of done on. Normally we do get acceptance criteria for this, but it does happen. So we need to make sure that everything has a default alias. And there's a great module for that called Path Auto. Pretty sure everybody's used Path Auto. And then another module called Token. And Token is really great because you can put information from your content into the path. So we can put the node into the path, or in the stores example, I can put the store node, the store title, if I'm looking at a department page because it's an entity relation. And Token allows you to do that. Drupal 8 does not do entity references in tokens, so you can't say node, store, title. You have to actually wait for somebody to fix that or write it yourself. I found that out from the other day. Content types should have no extra fields with no big image. This is that list I was talking about of stores. So store 2 and store 1. I have phone numbers and I have an address here for each one of my stores. This is all I'm going to display for this store. So that's the only fields. Title, number, address. However, every time we create a new content type in Drupal, this thing shows up, this body. And frequently we don't delete it. We're like, oh, well, it's there. We don't care. We're not theming it. We're never displaying it. But then your client or the author goes in and says, why is there a body field there? And you're like, well, you can fill it out, but it does nothing. So best to remove it. One thing that I do use body fields for frequently, though, is search text, because it can still be searched, but we'll change the title of that to search or search summary, so that they know that they can put it in there. And then going along with the body field here is that edit summary. What is that? If you show a teaser, you generally see that summary of the body. Most of the time when we're creating content, we don't show teasers. Sometimes we do, but it's always there. And somebody's going to click it and say, what does this do? It's easy to just get rid of it. There's a little field on the body that says show summary or provide summary. Just uncheck it. It's a really easy one. Oh, feature, if you export this content type with features and you don't select body is still going to show up in your stage dev and prod environments. So remove it from all of your environments. After you remove it once, you're good. You can even write a hook update that'll remove it for you, but it will show up, the body field. Next one is content type editing, deleting, and viewing should have permissions assigned to them. When we create pages, we're admin, we're root, user 1. Not always, but often. And we say, well, it works on my machine. Of course it does, because I'm plugged in as admin. I can see everything. The client says, well, I can't edit a store. Well, because we didn't check the permissions. This one happens all the time. So, definition of done. Has my content type actually been checked with all the permissions? I don't recommend that you push permissions with features, by the way, because clients want to edit that all the time. And if you push it with the configuration with your features, it'll go overwritten. So a hook update is great to set it once, or go set it each environment. I like hook update. Content types should have display modes set up for all the possible displays. I talked about this a little bit earlier. We have multiple displays. If there's ever a chance that a content type can be seen in a teaser, you need to go ahead and theme that teaser. One of the ones we do frequently is search, and then we get to theme that. And it's such a weird thing because you never see it until you go search for something that just happens to have that content type. So before we say, hey, this node's done, make sure that all your display modes are actually themed, especially search. Teaser, not so much. Search, definitely. Okay, fields on all content or entities should have a description on them. These guys over here. This is that same page that we looked at earlier that was really big and scary. And now I have descriptions that tell me exactly what my date field does and what my image field does. It also has these tabs. Very nice. I like putting HTML in the descriptions. You can put paragraph tags around it, and the descriptions look so much better than if you just put blank raw text in there. You can also, put bold and emphasis and all that fun stuff. There's a whole list of HTML tags you can use in descriptions. Highly recommend you use all of them. The more descriptive, the better. Again, we're developers, so our descriptions may need to be checked. I'm not very good at descriptions. I always make sure that a BSA or a copywriter looks at what I write. Most times they don't change it, but remember who your audience is, I think.
One question for you. Is there a way to have a drop down for the description text? Because a lot of description text can be really distracting. You're trying to have you found a way to
Like a checkbox that turns it on or off?
Yeah.
I don't know of a module, but I'll bet you could find one that does maybe a check or a little question mark thing. Click on that. Does anybody know of one of those?
Yeah, I think the Rubik theme does that.
Is it
It takes all your descriptions and puts them into like a pop-up as you hover. I hate it. But there's something that does that.
That's a good idea. I think I would like them to be showing. I could understand that it gets long and that's distracting, but that's why field sets are great, because we can move them, or field groups is great, because we can break it up a bit. Yes. Cool. The next section that we frequently forget to go through and done is views. And the first and biggest one is caching on views. You need to make sure that all your views are cached. In Drupal 8, it's actually cached by default. I think in Drupal 7, it's not. It's simple. When you look at views, we all saw that big view screen that Angie put up. Advanced is going to be closed when you look at it. Open it up, go all the way to the bottom, and there's caching. If you don't turn caching on, then every time somebody looks at that view, it's going to have to go query the database and things get slow. There used to be more caching options. This is Drupal 8, Drupal 7. You can also you can cache the HTML, the query, and the view itself. Doesn't look like it's there in Drupal 8. Drupal 8 does have a new tag-based caching though. That tag-based caching in views, I think, is based off of the view and then the display of the view that is the tag. So it says, has this been seen before? And then time-based caching. It's already turned on in Drupal 8, so you're lucky, but in Drupal 7 it's not. So make sure you turn on caching for all of those. If you ever do a performance audit from someone like Acquia, that's like the first thing they're going to flag. That, and make sure you're using the views like pages, which I don't have in here. The next part is the headers and footers. So make sure that you have text in there for your headers and footers if your creative calls for it. I know a lot of times they don't. When you do put text in there though, again, you can use HTML here and you can make that look as good as you want. You have a box there. And more important than the headers and the footers, the one that we always forget is the no results behavior view. On header and footer, there's this little checkbox here, display even if the view has no result. When we do put headers in, I always forget that one. So that's a good definition of done, is that we click that box. Otherwise, if we look at a view and it doesn't come back with any results, then the view just doesn't display on the page, and you spend 2 hours tearing your hair out trying to figure out why the view's not there. It is there, you just don't have that checkbox ticked. Back to no results. So this is a big one that I'm looking at the happy case. I'm looking at when there's stores. I'm seeing stores, and I'm caring about viewing that. I'm never going to see it when there's no results here, or probably not as a developer. But something we have to remember to do is always leave something in there that tells us that there's no results. And you can use replacement patterns in here. So you can say, this was your search term. This is why it didn't work. Maybe not why it didn't work. But that one's important. And then ensure that views have correct permissions. Most of the time, you can leave this to no permissions. Does anybody ever use draggable views? Draggable views is awesome, right? And you create a page, and somebody can go click a gear and reorder where it's viewed. Well, by default, anybody can do that because you didn't set permissions. So make sure you add a permission to it. Otherwise, anybody can technically go drag it. All they have to do is know the path. I like to say do it based on permissions, not roles. You should always have permissions for everything. It makes things more granular. But yeah, draggable views, make sure you have permissions on there. I am going incredibly fast, or I just didn't have enough content. If you have questions, please ask. Site-wide definitions of done. Metadata should be set for your entire site. So you can set these on individual pieces of content as well. This is a module called meta tags. There are other modules out there. Meta tags is the one that we use. Incredibly important, especially if you're ever doing anything with SEO and you want to get that page up ranked as high as possible. You at least need to set up your globals. You'll always have this page title filled out for you by default. It uses tokens. So you have the page title, the bar, site name, that's the default, generally what we leave it as. But then you'll want to set up meta tags for content as well. The important ones you want are page title, which you can probably leave as default, and description. If you remove that body field, chances are there's not going to be a description meta tag on a piece of content. You could rename that body field meta tag description, in fact, or create a field called meta tag description and set these up by default. In addition, though, with meta tags module as a content author, this is a part of the content edit screen as well. It's a field set at the bottom. You just click meta tags and they can do whatever they want. But we like to make it very easy for clients. They don't want to think about the SEO stuff that's put in there. Any questions on meta tags? Meta tags? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. The next one here is that the entire site should have a favicon and touch icons. This is the little guy that comes by default. Most of our sites don't have another favicon until that thing, or until the very last day, and somebody says, why is there a blue drop up there? We're like, oh yeah, favicon, that's important. Favicons aren't simple anymore. They're incredibly complex. We used to have a 16 by 16 square, and that's all you needed. Now you can have all these different variations of favicons. Some of these are used for touch icons. So whenever you drag your Drupal site from your phone down to your home page on your phone, your desktop, it has an Apple Touch icon, which is huge, dimension-wise. So we need to make sure that all of these icons are set up. And there's a module called Touch Icons, which you can install. It'll take care of it. If you go to the Touch Icons page, I think they actually link out to an icon builder page.
Do you have to put those in the root of the folder of your site for it to work correctly?
If you install the module, then it will place them correctly. It won't actually put them in the root, but it will make it work somehow. I'm not sure.
I've generated all of these different before, but the only way I can get them to really work across all devices was to have all icons.
I'm pretty sure you don't have to because there's a meta tag at the top of the HTML which tells it where to look for each one of the icons.
FAVICon does the same
and
thing.
touch icons should add for you.
Like I think on Internet Explorer, it looks for favicon.ico in the root.
All bets are off with Internet Explorer.
And then Watchdog. Watchdog throws all these messages, could not find, and I'm like, it's there. I'm just curious.
I don't know. And obviously, all bets are not off with IE. That's what we have definitions of done for. Make sure it works in IE. That's a good definition of done. Better definition is make sure that's not in your scope, but it should work in IE. Or at least just the latest version.
Don't take customers using that.
Do what?
Don't accept customers who use that.
We put that in scopes that we're only putting it in CRON. Depends on what it's used for, obviously. But
Increase project size by 50 grand if you want to support IE.
right. Does anybody know the answer to his questions on touch icons?
I've done a lot of research, and everything says it has to be in the root, but if it's a project, it suggests it's not. So I was just curious.
Some things were kind of in the root, but a lot of the time, And so, like, there must be somewhere, some file somewhere that tells it where to go look for it.
Well,
But
there's
I've had some that I've had to put in the road to get them to work.
well, there's a meta tag that you add with available. For some reason, people get it on certain browsers, they're still looking for that FAVICON or whatever it is.
Where it was cached.
Web server configuration should be looking at this fine. Redirect module for Apache, you know, you should be able to put it anywhere you want, as long as it's accounted for with rewrite rules, or however, you know, whatever mechanism you want to use with the web server configuration. Should be able to redirect all those things.
So you could put a rule in HT access to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Also something I've seen at the W3C, I think they're saying basically here that if you don't specify it with a link, that's a rel icon,
Right.
have to it, then if you look for document.
But if you specify the meta tag, it should work.
That's right, so I do specify the meta tag, and my logs still look for that. Browsers.
Did you specify the meta tag the first time IE looked for it?
Oh, there's a cache.
It's probably pretty
I
aggressive.
run with zero cache when I test.
Your browser's caching.
I run with zero cache in my browser.
Okay.
So it's not cache.
I don't know. Caching.
And it's watchdog.
Caching is hard.
At least it's something as simple as little icons. That was straightforward.
They were straightforward back when they were this size.
Yeah.
Now they're not. They're complex.
At least it's the hardest thing.
Yes.
But there's a module for it,
I
so.
got like 15 icons in my root. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. For all your different sizes of devices and different builds. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm surprised that was the one that set it went off your icons. No, I love it. It's great. Anything else on icons? Make sure we have them. That's the big thing. Or you can ignore them, then we won't be done though. So the next one here is a 404 and a 403 page. Again, as developers, when we're writing stuff, we rarely see something that doesn't work because we're writing the code. We know the paths. But if we're building a new site, if we're building a new version of DML.com, and somebody has something favorited, the new site, and they get to it, it needs to have something that says no. Normally we like to do SEO redirects for those, 301 redirects. But we need to have a themed 404 and 403 page, which is the access denied in the page not found. So those ones are important. And you can do that in admin system, and you can just point it to a node, so create a basic page, and email it.
404 search module is really nice.
Fast 404, I have that written somewhere. 404 search, what's that one?
It takes the words from the URL, does a search for it, gives you results.
That sounds useful. That's great. There's another module called Fast 404, which whenever you say module, it triggered my memory on that one. That's another one. If you do a performance audit with Acquia, we'll hit you with the very first one. The Fast 404 module will allow you to instantly respond with a 404 if we've already seen a 404 before. Instead of having to spin up Drupal and do all our database queries and everything. So that's a very cool and important module, Fast 404. We've had some issues configuring it before. I don't remember what the issues are, but it seems to work now a lot better. It's a great module. Next one here is the site should run your cron every 12 hours. And I found some corn for cron, so I thought that was awesome. Cron, by default in Drupal, cron uses a lazy cron. So your cron cleans everything up in Drupal and it performs any of your routine things that need to happen. Publishing pages, clearing old files out that aren't managed by Drupal anymore or were managed and got deleted. All types of nifty things that cron needs to do. And we need to make sure that cron is actually running. By default, it runs on a lazy cron, which means every time somebody looks at a web page, it looks to say, has it been 24 hours or 12 hours that we have set up? No, it hasn't. Okay, don't do anything. Yes, it has. Okay, run the cron. Shut that off front. That's terrible because if you go look at the site and you happen to see it when the cron's running, you're going to get degraded performance.
It's threaded.
I don't think that's the laser cron's not.
No.
Sure.
Whoever's accessing the page gets to feel the page.
I think it's threaded.
I don't think so.
No, it's all single threaded.
It's hard to do multi-threading in PHP. It's possible. It's hard. So the opposite way to do it, or the other better way to do it, is to use your system cron. All of your servers I'm sure IIS does as well, has a CRON, which is just a thing that runs at specific times that you tell it, and you can use drush. So whenever 12 hours is up, your system fires a drush command that says drush CRON, and it runs the CRONs. And then nobody feels the pain on the front end because it's all happening in a separate thread in the back end. You can probably also hit a page, something /cron, but I use drush because it's great. I think the default is 24 hours, but I've heard recently that 12 hours is better. So we started doing everything at 12 hours. Again, the 12 hours came from we have performance audits. Until we use them. Yeah.
Is there a tool to decide?
You use one.
What metrics would you use to decide how often I'm sorry. That's,
No, I mean, that's a good question. I don't know if any metrics to do it. When I set it up, I would think about what needs to happen. If I'm doing a lot of PDF generation, I want to do it every 30 minutes. If I don't have any published/unpublished times, I'm not deleting a lot of files. Once every 12 hours or every 24 hours will be fine.
You're going to schedule content at a specific time of the day. You're going to need like ultimate cron or a license cron that we can, basically target every single hook. That would be cool.
Well, talking about CRON, that's something that's interesting as well. It's kind of out of the scope of this, but if you have scheduled content and you schedule your content to go live at 6:30 p.m. tonight, it's not going to go live at 6:30 p.m. and then your clients are going to say, why? Because it's run on the CRON. So the CRON runs and says, is it past time for it to be published? Yes, okay, publish it, or no, don't publish it. So if my CRON runs at midnight every day, I've scheduled for content to publish at 6:30, it's not going to publish until midnight. So if you're really relying on like up to the minute CRON or publishing, you need to run CRON really, really often. 30 minutes is generally fine for clients that need that kind of stuff.
Every minute.
I feel better to see it at 12 hours and we run it every 5 minutes.
If you need to, you need to.
But content for one Drupal site sends data to feeds to our other websites. And the only way the feeds update is CRON.
Can you make a drush command for that instead, so it's not doing the rest of the CRON? So just your feed drush, so it's running every 5 minutes? It's what we do if we're doing something often. Like I said, PDF generation earlier, one of my current projects, we actually queue up PDF generations, and then every 30 minutes we run through the queue and generate all this stuff. But we don't want to run the rest of the CRON, we only want to run PDF generation, so we just created a drush command called generate PDFs, and we run that on the system CRON. So if you have specific things like that, I wouldn't run that on the big CRON, I'd run it on smaller CRONs.
There's an Alicia CRON module that allows you to itemize that also.
There you go, that's cool. I've seen the Alicia CRON module, I've never actually used it. Ultimate CRON?
Yeah, those are the two cron ones.
I thought Alicia just did the lazy CRON, didn't have to do the thing. Anything else on CRONs? Does everybody know what a CRON is? It's not corn. I love CRONs. CRONs also typically delete your cache. That way you know cache busting. So if you're running a CRON every 5 minutes, you're killing your cache. So you got to remember that. Caching is incredibly important in Drupal. We all probably know that. We've seen really slow Drupal sites. The next one is the robots.txt file. Does everybody know what a robots file is? Cool. So Drupal comes with one. There's not much in it. And most times we just leave it alone. But frequently, we do have to add stuff to it. We have an SEO team that tells us what to add to it. I don't know. I'm not an SEO guy. I do a little bit more than that, but yeah. But we do need a definition done that says, have we addressed this? Have we asked our SEO team, or have we thought about it and said, do we need to update that? If you have an SEO team, I say use them. The next one is the site should remove /node. I just learned about this last week. The developer that sits next to me. Did you guys know if you go to /node, you get a listing of everything in your site?
oh, that's awesome.
How cool is that? It looks terrible.
That sounds very good.
Good job. Good job.
That's called a debugger.
That's a debugging tool, right? That's a feature. No, I didn't know this existed. It does. It's a real simple way to get rid of it. Make your own module that does this. Or there's a module, you go to this link, It's not in contrib though, so you can't go to Drupal.org and find it. I don't know why, but the only thing that's in that module is that function. So you can put it in your own if you want. If you like it as a debugging tool, leave it. I found out about it and was like, wow. Went and looked at pages.
You could just redirect it to the home page too if you don't want to be all fancy.
Yeah, you could just use URL or URL redirect for you. Or to a page not found. Makes sense to everyone? And the last one I have here, because I went pretty quick, but longer than I expected, is you're not done until your logs are clean. This is a more, instead of a site building, so I said nothing's gonna be technical until this last one. This is an actual site that we're working on right now. When something breaks in production, I have no idea how to find it because my logs look like this. So you're not done with your site until you can run through all of your happy paths and not have logs, or not have notices and errors being thrown in your logs.
What's the happy path?
Happy path would be things work correct. So yeah, things work correctly. You can do all of the features or all of the acceptance criteria for all the features. You should be able to run through all of them. And
What's all positive criteria?
Smoke test.
smoke test. All your integration tests should be able to run. And if you don't know about integration tests, there's a cool talk in an hour in here about that. You should be able to run through all your integration tests and you shouldn't have any errors in your log because it makes debugging incredibly difficult. Also, if you have the watchdog module enabled, every time you have a notice in PHP, which as you can see, happens a lot if you don't clean up, it's going to make a DB query, a database query, and it's going to write that log, which is incredibly slow. So in addition to cleaning your logs, you should also turn off the watchdog module in production and just use system logging. I don't actually have that one written down, but it's just a good definition of done when you're done with production. System logging, writing to a file is a lot faster than writing to a database. And that's all I have on definition of done stuff. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have a guide published at some time?
I can give you this. I can put this up somewhere. There is a blog post that I wrote for internally at our office that I'll make available. Does anybody else have any good definition of dones they want to throw out there?
Translatable.
Translatable, make sure that your fields are translatable if they need to be.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Frequently we'll say, yeah, translation's turned on, and we'll turn on the module, and then all of our nodes, they've never got the little button check that says translatable. So today they turn those on. Same with field level translations. Kind of go along with it, revisions. If we want revisions on one piece of content, we'll turn the revisions module on, and then forget to turn it off for everything else, and so then we have a lot of revisions. Or we could turn it on. We don't have revisions. Anything else?
Mobile last.
Mobile last. How's that a
Yeah,
difference?
it's a book I'm writing.
Mobile first, by the way, hopefully.
To be presented next year.
Good. Mobile last. I like it. Really, you could flip it either way. It's just easier to add content than to take it away, right? You could do it the other way. Anything else? Great, thank you guys. I'm 20 minutes away.